Okie dokie. We're just about a minute away from our next Dynamic Friday together. I'm going to start a moment early so I can get all the tech working the way it's supposed to. And more importantly, the live stream live across all of social media and not just only me. It's such a weird setting. I don't know if you guys ever realized that, but there's like a setting in Facebook that you could make a live post, but it's only live to yourself. What's the point of that? But now we got it fixed. We are live across Facebook, YouTube, StreamYard, where you're welcome to join us and post comments, questions, and conversations along the way. And of course, as we have been for years, free conference call HD. Appreciate each and every one of you for starting your week with us, working throughout the course of the week with us, and ending the week as well across multiple platforms, whichever one you're catching us on. So good morning. Welcome into another Dynamic Friday together. Hopefully my sound is clear, my audio is good, and the visual is working the way it's supposed to. This is our first Dynamic Friday of October, and I've always been very impressed by the increasing attendance that we're getting with Fridays. We're getting them not only on Free Conference Call HD, not only live on StreamYard and across all the other places that you can find it. And again, I just wanted to say that we recognize it, we notice it, and we appreciate it. Dynamic Friday was born out of the desire to move our traditional morning call format that we do 250 times a year, give or take a day, into the modern era of streaming. It was also created so that you, our core audience, our core agent partners, our amazing people that we partner and work with on a daily basis, have the opportunity to engage with us in more of a real/virtual format. So that's why we did it. You can catch us over on StreamYard at 9:30 when we hang up here, or right now. You can post a comment, you can ask a question, you can be a part of the conversation. And as we get settled in this morning on the most important day of your business week, I want to encourage you to invite somebody else on our call, either sending them the StreamYard link, inviting them on to watch with YouTube, dialing into the conference call, whichever it is. And most importantly, when you get a chance to catch this either right now or later on Facebook or YouTube, I'd ask a favor of you. Drop a comment. I'm pretty sure you're all subscribed to the YouTube channel, Insurance Life and Everything in Between. I'm sure you're all friends with Adam and or myself on Facebook. But as you watch or rewatch today's training on Facebook or YouTube, a comment really helps engagement. The more you comment, the more that YouTube shows this content to others in the industry or others on the page. And that's part of another reason why we took it from Free Conference Call HD to the entire social media environment for people to see, to give them additional training they may not be getting on their own, to give them additional engagement in the industry they may not be getting on their own, and to spread the news about what we do to others, and to be able to spread that news past what the algorithm typically gives us. I need you to drop a comment either on the YouTube channel, our Facebook streams, or wherever you find us outside of Free Conference Call HD. Appreciate your efforts to make that happen today, over the course of the weekend, and whenever you catch it. All right, so I'm going to open up today's topic. We're going to pass it to Adam like we normally do, and we're going to hear a little bit about his sales week during that 9:15 to 9:25 time frame. And then from about 9:25 till 10 a.m., we're going to discuss this topic. Hopefully, I don't take too much away from the topic. Maybe I kind of lay the groundwork for it. Maybe we talk about a lot of different stuff when it comes to this, but we're going to work really hard today to stay right on track at that 60-minute mark, give you the content, the education, and the motivation necessary, and then get you out the door so that you can hit that number. Remember, we talked about it, right? How do you write 3,500 in 2 days? You can do it in a single day, but whatever that number is, we want to get you out the door on the phone or into the field to make that happen. So I'm going to open up my thoughts on how not to fail in the fall. Going to turn it over to Adam after that, and then we'll continue forward, hopefully wrapping up right at around 10 a.m. Eastern. All right, so how not to fail in the fall. Remember, first off, that everything that you're doing right now, this month and this season of the year, directly impacts how the next season and progression of your career is going to go. What you do now directly affects your income in 9 and 12 months. So a lot of what you do, of course, it's depositing money into your bank account today, but it's really making a significant influence into the very close future as well. So how not to fail this fall. First thing I wrote down this morning is challenging for some. Either you're on the free lead program and the production has to increase to get this, or you're purchasing your leads and you have to spend more to do this. But how do you not fail in the fall? How do you write more business in the fall? How do you achieve your annual enrollment goals? You got to increase your lead order. The more leads you buy, the easier this business gets. Increasing the quality of your leads might also be part of this conversation as well. There's nothing wrong with aged leads. There's nothing wrong with old leads. All people we see are old. All leads are old because they're old people. But sometimes you need to increase your investment by increasing the quality of the lead you purchase as well. A good quality set of leads will be far more profitable, significantly less stressful, and more efficient in your time management. I was taking a look at my schedule as I was walking back from dropping my son off at the bus this morning, and I was thinking, where are all the places in this calendar I can squeeze additional time to increase my AEP activity? Well, I want to increase my activity, but I also want to increase the lead spend and the quality of lead so that time is effectively managed. Next thing, how not to fail in the fall that I think is incredibly important is to make your goal a standard more than a goal. Like a goal can be brushed over. All right, I didn't hit it. No big deal. Let's move on next week. A goal can be forgotten. A goal can be diminished. But if it's a standard to your life and a standard to your business and it's unacceptable to miss it, then you're going to achieve it more often. Tony Robbins does hours and hours of content about the difference between a goal and a standard. Dial into that this weekend instead of watching some junk on TikTok. Remember, how not to fail in the fall is to consistently hit that $3,500 minimum production number, that $14K a month, which would give you $42,000 in production by the middle of December. You can make an average American salary in the next 3 months. I mean, if that isn't motivation to you, then maybe money isn't important to you. Maybe this industry doesn't make sense to you. But goals need to be upgraded to standards so that you don't fail this fall. Next note that I put down here this morning is to focus on pushing yourself into the uncomfortable areas of your business. The cross sale, Medicare, senior centers, referrals. As we talked about this week over the course of our conference calls, imagine like you work for McDonald's. Oh, obviously you don't. You make significantly more money and have more freedom and don't smell like fried food when you come home. But imagine you did. And the company policy was to ask if do you want fries with that? Well, your company, which is you, needs to make that company policy to ask for some type of cross sale, from grandkid policies to annuities, from cancer coverage to Medicare plans, from referrals to wherever you want to go. Ask the extra question and you're guaranteed success this fall. Next point that I have this morning as we continue discussing how not to fail this fall is to increase your communication. I know I've said this before, but it's a guaranteed way to do better, make more money, and feel like you're more engaged in the world around you. I did a training with our appointment setting team yesterday, and I had their supervisor on. I had our 2 appointment setters on, and we just like hung out for a minute, discussed, TV and life, and then we tackled some of the objections they face, some of the challenges as they learn more tech. We use Kixi to create multi-dialing opportunities to get you more appointments. And we talked through things. And they said to me after everything was done, besides the fact that how much they appreciate you for using them and giving them a job and having them work, and they take pride in the work that they do, but they also appreciated the human engagement that conversation created. So increase your communication. Some agents on this call and on this live stream, I talk to every day. Adam engages with on a regular basis. Others I haven't heard from in a really long time, and I'm worried. Not in a micromanagement kind of sense, but in a human connection kind of sense. This is a very lonely business. You go out and see people you'll never see again in some cases, in areas you don't live in and or visit very often. You're on your own. Communicate, engage, connect with me, Adam, have a running partner with somebody in the agency. That human element helps us, especially in days that we really just want to give up on ourselves. Next is not increase, but to decrease. You got to decrease distractions. If you're going to thrive this fall, avoid failure this fall, you have to make sure that you are not your own worst enemy. Let me tell you another quick story about the summer. I am my own worst enemy in the summer, and that's a reality of having 4 kids and a soon-to-be wife that is off in the summer. But I managed to make enough money to keep it moving and grow and sustain and lead. But there was a situation in like late July where I had a whole list of things I wanted to do, a whole list of administrative and management type stuff that needed to be accomplished. And instead of doing that, I went out shoe shopping for a trip that we were going to go on. Not just shoes, but like stuff for the trip. Um, Own worst enemy, right? Like that wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. That wasn't a profitable activity. That wasn't going to help me recruit and build and sustain and train. We can be our own worst enemies, and it's important that you manage your time and create those buffers and guardrails on when you're working, when you're selling, when you're recruiting, and then when you're enjoying social life afterwards. Next on the list is to defend yourself against doubt this fall by reminding yourself why you do this. This isn't easy, right? This isn't always fun. This isn't always the cleanest environment to go sit in somebody's home. Sometimes they're not nice to you over the phone, but you have to defend your doubt by reminding yourself why you're doing this. And remind yourself in that situation that you truly do have the power to buy time and print money. I talked to a few recruits yesterday through our recruiting platform, and a lot of people with an insurance license simply just want a $20 an hour salary or hourly wage and a base salary. I don't want that. I don't think any of you want that either. I think you want to be able to buy time, control the only thing in life that matters, and then print money when you need to. Talked to another agent of ours yesterday that needs to make $10,000. Like it's so important. It's words don't describe it. But guess what? There's a specific formula in place to make that kind of thing happen. You don't even have to guess. You don't have to wonder. You don't have to figure it out. I can create the formula. I've taught it and trained it. They just have to find a way to implement it. Defend yourself against doubt by reminding yourself why you do this. Another story for you. Adam, I don't know if you watched the Mets and Brewers game yesterday. It's getting close to it is the playoffs, so I begin to monopolize the TV way more often than usual. And whoever won the Mets and Brewers series was going to face the Phillies, which is exciting. Maybe I make it to a playoff game. Maybe not. But the Mets were down 3 runs into the 8th inning of that game. They hadn't scored a run in 16 innings, most of the last game and a majority of this game. If the Mets lost, the Mets were eliminated and were going to go home, and the Brewers were going to continue to face the Phillies in the division series. Guess what happened? The Mets won. They continued to play the game. They played the end of the game very skillfully. They didn't give up. And then when the opportunity was there and the closer showed weakness, they capitalized on it. Now, you're not a baseball player. You're not going to the division series. You can make more money than some MLB players, but the reality is still the same. Don't give up. Maybe you're walking into Friday today on our call or in the industry, and this week has just been 0, 0, 0. The Mets went 0 runs for 16 innings. Imagine having no applications for 16 days and then coming up at the very end with a victory. Totally possible. You also have to remember to respect the process. It's very important to understand in your first year in the business, it's incredibly hard. Like the hardest it's ever going to be. How you're going to survive this fall, if this fall is your first year in the business, respect the process. The second year, maybe this is your second fall in the business. It gets a little easier, but it's important that you work just as hard as you did in the first year so that you never have to look back. Nothing good comes easy. Nothing big is built quickly. The best way for you to get where you want to go is to keep going. And this fall, I want you to keep going regardless if this is your first, your second, or your 11th year in the business. Last point I have for you this morning on how to make sure you succeed this fall before I turn the call over to Adam. Problems that you face in life and in business always look worse when you're standing still looking at them. Like you just sit in your chair, you stress out, you panic, you can't eat, you don't know what to do, and you just stare at the problem. It looks bigger because that's all that you're focusing on. When you look for a way to overcome the problem, then you can get up and find your way around it. It's important that while our license says we are insurance producers, we are obviously small business owners, entrepreneurs, and at the heart of everything that we do, we're problem solvers. We're problem solvers at the kitchen table or on the phone when you sit with somebody and you find a problem or you create the problem and you show them the solution. We're problem solvers in this business as builders and business owners. When you see a problem, and instead of looking at it and dwelling on it, you look for a solution and you remain persistent throughout the course of this fall. So hopefully that connects with somebody today. We're going to continue to discuss it from 9:30 to 10 as well. But I'm going to step away from the screen, turn the call over to Adam as he shares some ground level field experience from his week in the business. Adam, the floor is yours.
Okay, here we go. Sorry, I always forget to unmute this mic. I think everybody should be able to hear me now. So yeah, I can kind of go through my week, talk a little bit about how it went. One thing we always talk about, I know Chris always mentions how if we do the same things over and over, we can expect the same results. And I mean, I've been pretty consistent with the way that I run my business out in the field, and it's been pretty consistent when it comes to the production. I mean, I would say at least like the last 3 weeks. I mean, I got to figure out something because I want to be writing more, but I've been writing right about 4,500 each week, like the last 3 weeks. So, and again, I mean, ordering the same amount of leads, working on having those appointments set, and in the end, I'm getting the same results. So, and I know, like I said, I know Chris has talked about that a lot, where he's kind of done things the same way for a really long time, and he always knows going in about what he's going to come back with when it comes to the premium. And every week though is a little bit different than the last. I mean, this week, I mean, I was really pushing for sales. I was really pushing to get in front of people. I didn't have a whole lot of appointments set. And I was really doing whatever I could to generate some business. Majority of it was off of leads. A lot of it, I don't talk a whole lot about follow-ups. They happen here and there. I had an appointment last week that I sat down with the lady, and it was one where I think it was actually like a Direct Express card. And the company that I wanted to write it with, they'll accept Direct Express and they'll accept it for like recurring payments, but you have to write the piece of business. They have to take that first payment right away. At least that's what I've discovered. So I ended up having to go back, and I wrote it this week. So I didn't count it towards my production from the prior week. I counted it towards this week because it wasn't finalized until this week. And it was a pretty decent sale. I mean, it was close to a guaranteed issue. I can't remember specifically the health issues that the lady had, but I mean, she had some pretty major things going on that guaranteed issue or close to guaranteed issue was really like the only thing I could do for her. So yeah, like I said, I wrote her with a carrier that accepts the Direct Express, and it was $849 annualized premium. So that was on Tuesday morning. It was a good way to start off my Tuesday. Actually, it was one I was supposed to have a 10 o'clock appointment, and she called me at like I don't even know if it was 8 o'clock in the morning yet. It was like 7:45, 7:50. We have our morning call at 8 a.m. Central Time. So I wasn't on the call at the beginning because she had called me, and I picked up, I was talking to her, and I already pretty much had the app done. And she told me that she forgot she had a doctor's appointment she needed to get to. And I told her, well, let's just finish it right now. So I was able to finish it over the phone. We did like a text to sign sort of thing. And so it actually really saved me some time too. I missed a little bit of the call, but I mean, before that call was over at 8:30, I already had one app completed for the day. So not a bad start to my day. And then from there, like I said, I didn't really have a whole lot of appointments set. Was out running leads, was out door knocking leads. And I ended up writing one other later in the day that was just a referral that called me over the phone. So, so really, I mean, I don't do telesales, but I had 2 phone sales on Tuesday. And so that was my day on Tuesday. I think I ended up writing a little over 1,400 in premium just from those 2 apps. Honestly, I mean, it didn't feel like a successful day to me. I wrote a few pieces of business over the phone, but out in the field, I didn't really have a whole lot of success. So, but you know what? I keep going. I don't go home until it's just time to go home. Usually, it's when it's dark, and I usually door knock leads until it gets dark out. Once it's dark, if I have appointments set, I'll work the appointments. But once it's dark, that's usually when I decide that it's time to quit door knocking leads for the day. So, anyways, back out there Wednesday, and Wednesday, same thing. Wednesday, my whole week, I kind of feel like was just a bit of a struggle. Wednesday, just looking at my calendar, I had one appointment in the morning that sounded very promising. It was actually a lapsed policy that was a referral from another agent, and I went and saw the guy. I thought for sure it was a sure sale, but the guy, his brother just kind of handles his finances. I don't know. This guy was like a little disabled. I need to get in touch with the brother. I think it will be a sure sale, but I need to talk to his brother to just kind of figure things out. So, and then from there, it was just a whole bunch of door knocking the remainder of the day. I had a 4 o'clock appointment, a five. Yeah. I had a 4 o'clock appointment that didn't really result in anything, a 5 o'clock that wasn't home, and then a 6 o'clock that I finally wrote another app. It was a little over 1,000 in premium with American Amicable. So my whole day Wednesday, like I said, I mean, it was a rough day, but I closed it out. I guess that's the one thing I could say is that I don't close down early and head home. Like I said, this was a 6 o'clock appointment. At least wrote that one for the day. So a little over 1,000 in premium. So that put me at just under 2,500 within those first 2 days. And then yesterday morning, I had an appointment with a husband and wife. It was actually a lead that was in like this gated trailer park facility. And it's one that there's just no way that I can door knock it because I would show up to the gate, and then there's like a gatekeeper there basically that wants to know who I am. He wants to call the person. If I just show up like on a lead, and that guy's not going to be able to explain it better than I'm going to be able to explain it over the phone to the person, that they're just going to shoo me away. So Wednesday, I had that lead in my route, and I realized that it was this trailer park. I ended up calling the lead, and the guy answered. He goes, "Well, actually, I think my wife did that. Here's her number." He gave me her number. I gave her a call, and she said, "Yeah, come on by tomorrow morning." So I set up for like 9 o'clock in the morning. I dropped my son off at school at 8:30. 9 o'clock is good time to start my day out in the field. So 9 a.m. appointment. And then I had a noon appointment after that. And I'll get to that one too. But yeah, the 9 a.m. appointment, it was a husband and wife. The husband, he was on kidney dialysis. And the wife, she told me that she was like in really good health, just taking a blood pressure medication. So for him, I was planning on writing a guaranteed issue. And for her, I was planning on writing American Amicable. And so I went through the entire American Amicable application. The one thing I like about American Amicable is that they do give you the decision at the end. And if for some reason the decision is other than applied for, they let you know why. So I go through the whole app for the lady first, and it comes back as a decline. And I'm like, what the heck? How is this thing being declined? She tells me she's just taking a blood pressure medication. Comes to be that she actually had been prescribed 2 HIV medications. So went from thinking first day coverage, full death benefit to, well, looks like I'm going to be writing her guaranteed issue along with her husband. So, but the carrier that I've been using for guaranteed issue, I don't know. It's one that we don't really, I don't know if I'm just kind of testing it out. I don't think a lot of people have been using them yet or not, but anyways, their rates are really good on the guaranteed issue. And so I wrote her and her husband. they were like, what, she was 62, he was 59, I believe. And it was between the two of them, it was a little over 1,200 in premium. It was like 1,260, 68, 69 in premium. So not bad. I mean, it's a reduction in commission, but heck, I mean, I'd rather walk away with something than nothing at all. And it was still over 1,200 in premium. But it was a lengthy process because I wrote the one app with American Amicable, got declined, then just kind of had to go back to the drawing board. The e-app process with the carrier I was using, unless it's like a first day payment, the process takes a little bit longer. So yeah, it just took a little bit of time to get those apps done. And the lady, I don't know, we just talked a lot. I was there for quite a while. I was probably there over 2 hours, which I don't like being in a home for over 2 hours. Sometimes it just takes a little bit longer to get it finalized. So anyways, I had a little bit of time before the next appointment, really just enough time to get to it. So, and that was another appointment that I door knocked a couple days prior. And sometimes I can tell when the person's being upfront and honest, or if they're just trying to shoo me away. And she's like, yeah, I remember filling that out. She said, but I'm actually on my way to work right now. I'm off on Friday, or I'm off on Thursday. Can you come back? And I said, sure. She said, anytime in the afternoon. I said, okay, how about like noon? She said, yeah, that'll work. So I showed up yesterday, and this was actually a lead too, that it was a direct mail. I remembered the house, and she had also filled out a Facebook lead, a Facebook ad form. I bet probably 4 or 5 months ago. And when I went and door knocked it 4 or 5 months ago, she shooed me away. I couldn't get anywhere with her. She wouldn't let me in. She said she already had everything handled. And it was just, I don't know. It was kind of weird because she was not like that when I showed up a couple days ago. So I don't know if maybe she had a policy and it had lapsed or something or what. But anyways, was able to get in, got along really well, was able to help her. And that was $737 in premium with American Amicable. So that put me right at the $4,500 for the week. I ended up putting a route together. I had a whole bunch of leads in one area, and I put a route together. I bet I probably door knocked about 25 leads after that. And unfortunately, just didn't have very good results. Wasn't catching people at home. But same thing. I mean, I stayed out until it was dark and headed home. My goal, even after writing 2,000 yesterday, I mean, my goal was 3,500 for the day. I wanted to hit 6,000 for the week, but and that's why I kept going. I think it's good to set those big goals and do what you can to hit them. If I had just hit the 4,500 early and said, well, I'm satisfied with that, great. But you just never know. I mean, yeah, I stayed out, didn't really get any other results outside of that. But I've had plenty of other times that I would write business like that. Of course, door knocking leads and that. So sometimes you win some days, sometimes you lose some. To me, 4,500, yeah, it was a decent week. I don't know. It didn't feel like a great week. Like, I guess that's a good thing if you can write 4,500 in premium and feel like you just had a pretty mediocre week. So, and that's kind of where I'm at. 4,500 for me, it's okay. I'll take it, but I want to be doing more than that. I know I can, and so that's really just kind of how it went for the week. Like I said, my main recommendation to you guys would just be to do what you can to get in front of as many people as possible throughout your week. If you don't have appointments set, that doesn't mean to just stay home. Treat this like a full-time career, which it is, and it's just about putting the time in. I was talking to one of my guys yesterday that's just kind of starting to get back out in the field, and I sent him like 60 leads that were local. They were leads that just I hadn't dispositioned yet, and they were probably anywhere from a month old to 5 or 6 months old. And I told him, I gave him some delivery notices, and I just told him, like, these leads are all in one zip code, 62 leads. They're probably within 1 or 2 minutes apart from each other. Like, you can really get a whole lot done. And so So, go ahead and put a route together and just door knock, try to knock out as many of those as you can. And I mean, he even called me throughout the day. I was happy to hear from him, knowing that he actually went out and was working those leads. And I know he's going to get some sales off of them. I think he's going back to see some people today. I don't know how his results were yesterday, but yeah, when you have the leads, you just don't give up on them. If they're not dispositioned, get back out and work them. I have so many leads right now that need to be worked, and I don't give up on them. I continue to purchase new leads every single week, but don't let the older leads slip through the cracks. When you're in areas and you have a little bit of time, go out and run them. And just we talk about doing whatever it takes, and that to me, that's just really what that means. Doing whatever it takes to make some sales. My week, like I said, 4,500 in 3 days. I still felt like it was mediocre. I feel like I could have done better, but not bad results. So I think Chris will be maybe joining us back on here in a minute, so we can start our podcast format.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking care of the last 15, 20 minutes. It's so refreshing to watch you take the lead and to teach and to train and to show others what you can do and show them that they can do it as well. If you're on Free Conference Call HD, join me on StreamYard for the next 30 minutes and make sure that you end this week in a way that you're proud of the work that you did. See you on StreamYard. Just trying to get this audio situation figured out here, Adam. Sit tight with me just a minute. All right, I'm not quite sure if they can hear you, Adam. I have somebody posting in the chat, no audio. As we always make this transition from Free Conference Call HD to this part of the call, a little rough, but we'll get better at it. No one's perfect from the very first time. Albert, if you can make sure you can hear me, shoot me, drop a text in the StreamYard so we know that you can hear me at least while we get the audio figured out on both of our sides. And we continue forward with today's conversation. If you guys are watching in StreamYard or across another platform, just drop me a comment so I know that you can hear me and I'm not just talking to myself. One of the things that I think is so important when it comes to surviving in the fall is sticking to your schedule. I think we didn't mention that in my open, but I think it's incredibly important to remember if your schedule is your schedule and you're committed to that schedule and your family gets used to that schedule, then they're going to respect it the same way. But if you don't respect your own schedule, if you just come and go as you please, you're creating that standard and that situation for your family as well. And maybe you don't have a big family, bills and mouths to feed. Maybe it's just yourself. But moral of the story remains the same. Another point to succeed this fall is to make that schedule your schedule and respect it no matter what. Adam, I think I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
All right. I don't know. Well, hopefully, I think everybody on StreamYard and YouTube could hear me throughout when I was talking. I don't know. That's weird.
That switch over that always throws us off.
Yeah. I did the same thing last week. So I don't know. Anyways, well, glad that we're both able to figure it out. I think we're good now.
So, what's interesting about this time of year, and I know I said it in the open, but I'd love to hear your thoughts, that what you do now directly impacts how the winter is going to play out and how the opening of the year begins. I think so many people, especially in self-employment, enjoy taking excessive amounts of time off, and that's their right in some cases, but they don't realize, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, how messy it can be if you don't recognize that what you do today affects tomorrow and even January in a lot of cases.
For sure. As I said in my portion of our call a few minutes ago, I mean, you got to treat this like a full-time career. You can't be taking time off all the time. I think sometimes people, they can't handle the independence. They wonder why they're not succeeding, and they're just not putting the time in. It's real easy to take off, on a whim to do other things. But as I know we've talked about in the past, I think when you take time off, you got to figure out ways to make that time up. We're not on a salary. I mean, the only time we are making money is when we're sitting in front of somebody that can say yes to our offering. So the more time we take off, I mean, the more we're putting ourselves at risk financially too. So, I mean, I can't stand when, I'm more than willing to help, like when our kids have stuff, but sometimes it just bugs me when I'm kind of in a groove and I got to cut off at 3:00 to pick someone up at school or something like that. So little things like that. I mean, you can even figure out ways to adjust your schedule, but even someone once told me, don't be a cab driver. And what they meant by that was, don't do things throughout your day that you could pay somebody else to do for you. Don't take off work on Friday to go cut your grass if you could pay a kid in your neighborhood $25 to cut your grass.
So true. So true.
You know,
Or just enjoy the time that you don't have to cut your grass because you worked hard enough to enjoy the hour off or the time with your family. Like, I think people forget the value of delegation with some of those aspects of life that you earn the right to do when you're making good money because you've respected your schedule.
Yeah, most definitely. One thing, Chris, too, talking about the fall, I think I wrote one note on this topic and put an exclamation point next to it so I wouldn't forget. I think that this time of year, one thing, I mean, being out in the field, it's getting darker out earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking about how I usually will door knock leads until it gets dark. I'll work appointments after the dark. So that's where I just think that it's important to set your schedule. If you're door knocking leads, do whatever you can to try to set up that 6:00 appointment, that 7:00 appointment in the evening. They know you're coming, they're expecting you, and there's no reason to shy away from showing up in the dark if you have that appointment set. So, sometimes people feel like, well, it's getting dark out earlier, that's going to cut my day short. It doesn't have to. Don't let it cut your day short. Just make sure you have that structure and have those appointments set so you still have people to sit in front of in the evening time.
Yeah, I know we have an entire stock training that we pull out of the archive every year when daylight savings hits. And it's as traditional as the Thanksgiving call or the last call of the year or the first call of the year. The first day of daylight savings, we bring this training out of the archive. And that's one of the biggest points. It's now time to set your day in reverse. I think that's one of the lines from the training where instead of setting your 10:00 first, it's your 6:00 first. One of our agents, Adam, who you think looks like Joe Madden, I don't know if Bob Eckert would appreciate the humor in that one, is he was always trained and practices the concept that it's never dark in a senior center. Like maybe you've got leads in an apartment or a senior center. Maybe you host one in the evening. You can capitalize on those opportunities when it's getting darker later. But also, if it's getting darker later, you for damn sure better be starting sooner. Like from the moment that morning call is over, you should be exiting your car, and banging on a door or picking up your phone for the first dial of the day for telesales.
Yeah, well, that's one thing I like about our call is that it does kind of get people moving for the day. It's a good start to the day. And I think, set your schedule to kind of accommodate having the morning call. And then from there, I mean, that's kind of like, especially like I said, now it's a little bit different for me because my little boy wants me to drive him to school every day. Friday is like the only day that I don't because we have our live video. But that's helped me as well. Kind of getting up and out of the house to get him ready and take him to school in the morning. And by the time I drop him off, it's 8:30. But same thing with the call. I mean, our call, I've always said it kind of gets you up and moving. And from there, yeah, my first appointment's usually 9 o'clock in the morning. So it's a good way to kind of get moving and get the day started on a high note. I think we talk about what I like about the call, and for a while, I never really hopped on the call a whole lot. This year, I have a lot more than last, and I think for me, it's just kind of more of an accountability thing, especially the day of the week when we kind of broadcast to the world our goal of what we're looking to do. Yeah, I've talked about the goals that I set and the high goals that I put out there. If I say I'm going to do 6,000 for the week and I write like one app, I kind of look like an idiot. So, I mean, to me,
And then you got to talk about it all Friday. Like, what are you going to talk about if you wrote one application?
Yeah, my goal this week was 6,000. I wrote 4,500. I've said I would rather shoot for the gold and hit the bronze than, shoot for the bronze and hit the bronze. So
Yeah.
I'll take the bronze this week. I'll take 4,500 in a 3-day week. But yeah, just the call, that having that accountability kind of set in, and just kind of having that goal like instilled in my mind, and being focused on that and doing whatever I can to try to hit it, and not going home early feeling satisfied if I didn't hit that goal yet.
Yeah, I think what it does is it provides structure. And I think in a self-employment environment, which is new to a lot of people or a challenge for most people, having just that ounce of structure gets you onto the path towards where you need to go. And I think a lot of licensed agents, insurance agents in disguise, honestly, why they aren't getting where they want to go is they don't have any kind of structure. They haven't dialed into any kind of a system. They haven't engaged in any form of community. And then nothing happens. Like, even when you worked at a captive company and the comp wasn't the best and the product wasn't competitive, none of that stuff really mattered, because that captive company, I would guess, provided you a good degree of structure that put you in the path towards where you were trying to go. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, I would think so. For me, I don't know. I've always been self-motivated to just get out and work. It's just, to me, it's just always been the sort of opportunity that you're going to get out of it as much as what you're willing to put in. So, yeah, I mean, all this other stuff is great, but I think you got to be self-motivated. I mean, well, if you're not self-motivated, you're probably not going to hop on that call in the morning.
No.
We talk about work ethic. And I've said this many times. I mean, there's no sense in even hopping on our call every morning or our trainings on Fridays if you're just going to lay around in bed all day. Like, what good does it do you?
Like, what? Yeah.
What's the point?
Like,
why waste your time hopping on
a
training? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You watch workout videos and you stay fat. So
it's hypocritical in a way. Yeah. I mean, I don't get it sometimes, because I know it's hard to get started. It's incredibly hard. It's nerve-wracking, but you just got to get started. When you're given everything you need, then you got to take it and run. Here's a single carrier contract. Here's leads, either free or purchased. Here's ways to get them or how we're going to provide them. Here's what you're going to say and how you're going to say it. Now it's time to go. And if you don't go, what was the rest of it even for? I think we talk to a lot of people too, I know, through our recruiting platform, who are used to a job. They're used to a salary. They're used to an hourly wage, but they see what we're doing. They see what we're saying. They see what's available in the industry, but they're afraid to make that leap from $20 an hour or $40,000 a year, which is fine. And it's a choice that people make, but they're afraid to make that leap into self-employment. What would you say to somebody like that who might want to make a change this fall to succeed?
Well, it's the sort of career that, like I said, I mean, you're going to get out of it as much as what you're willing to put in. You can't have the fear of failure. You got to focus on the goals at hand. You got to focus on really what could be. And I think that I don't know, it's not for everybody. Sometimes I think, I'm sure we've all worked with people that maybe just can't handle the independence. They have to have that guaranteed money. But I can't stand when I see people that I think are motivated, that could do really well, that even start out well, and then they maybe just hit a little bump in the road, and then they're right back to that 9 to 5 job
Man, that's
because it's like
frustrating.
they passed up so much opportunity. Uh, because I know they're not going to make the sort of money in that 9 to 5 that they could make doing what we do.
Yeah.
Again, it's not for everybody. I mean, maybe sometimes people are complacent with their 9 to 5 and they're fine on that hourly wage, and they need that. They can't handle, like I said, they can't handle the independence. They can't handle getting out of bed unless they have someone saying you got to be to work at this time. Again, it's not for everybody, but for
No.
those that are willing to take a little bit of a risk, I don't think there's another career out there outside of like a professional athlete, really, that you could make as much as what you could in this business if you do it the right way.
Yeah, I remember an agent worked with us in California years ago. With success. I mean, proved that he could do it. He wrote business, he bought leads, he dialed in, he did all the things that show that you can do it. But the moment he hit that initial level of resistance, he was nowhere to be found. And then I just kept texting, and I'm like, I'm not giving up until he tells me what happened. Like, I get the point eventually, but I liked the guy. I'm like, what happened? Well, it got tough when I went back to doing this job. Like, it's disappointing. Like, you're better
Yeah.
than that. You saw that you could do it. And one of our agents now, they're entering like that month 6 through 9 phase, which means they're going to face their first wave of chargebacks. You know, when you get started and you're new with a carrier, there's no fall off. You're just writing business and getting paid. It's amazing. It's exciting. But 20% is going to fall off no matter how good you are. And they're facing that first wave of chargebacks. I see it in an email. I know they're writing good business and they're writing real business and it's not the same person over and over again, but they just got to keep going. Like, go through year one and know it's going to suck. Work just as hard in year two as you did in year one. Then when you look back at them, I don't think you really ever have to check the price on anything that's less than 4 figures again, right?
Yeah. Well, one thing too, Chris, I think that sometimes it might not be the lack of motivation. Um, they might see the opportunity and see the sort of money that they can make. But again, when they hit that little bump in the road, sometimes they can't afford to stay in business. And that's where I think with what we got going on with our lead program and the fact that we have the ability to bring new people into working with us and providing them a steady flow of leads at no expense to them on a regular basis
Mm-hmm.
is why do I hear music? Do you hear that?
Oh, yeah. No, I do not hear any music. Maybe the rapture's happening and I missed the boat.
Yeah, I don't know. In my speaker, I don't know what it is.
No,
All of a
yeah, I
sudden,
get it. Like, the career program offers someone the opportunity to come in, get started within 7 to 10 days, get
yeah,
contracted with whoever contracts them the quickest. I don't care who it is. And then we get them a set of leads and we send them into the field and see if they're going to sell one policy. And that one policy proves to us that they can do it, proves to themselves that they can do it. And then week 2, they got to do 2. Week 3, they have to do 3. And before you know it, they're on track. And we've taken a lot of that heavy lifting off of the table. Now, of course, you still have to go out there and produce and be a good, ethical, hardworking agent, but you don't need the capital to get started anymore. And you can graduate off of the career program if you choose to, but that opportunity is there for the right kind of people that really want to get to that next level of income and who can, as you would say, bet on yourself. But I would love in our final 5 minutes, once we kind of flesh this one out, to talk through chargeback and roll up, because most agency owners like yourself, faced with the kind of roll up that you recently hit, wouldn't get on a Friday call and talk positive. They wouldn't even do it. They would spend all weekend complaining about it. They would do the exact opposite of what you're doing today. And I would love to, in the last 5 minutes, kind of flesh through why you're not letting that kind of thing slow you down and accept that as a good learning experience from the kind of producers that create debt and the kind that create production.
yeah. Well, I think the best way to handle roll up debt is to nip it before it begins. Um, by kind of what we have going on, Chris, with kind of having a nice close knit group of people that we work with. People that are on our call on a regular basis. We share ideas, we work together, we kind of look out for everybody's best interests. I think those are really the type of people that we want as part of the organization. And when we have some that we bring on, maybe we every once in a while, maybe we just bring on the person that maybe has that potential, but they just don't want to be involved. They kind of want to just do their own thing. And when you don't know where that business is coming from, it's risky business. When we have our agents that we have involved with our lead program that are where we're ordering leads and they have those leads coming to them on a regular basis, well, we have a pretty good idea where that production's coming from.
Yeah.
But when when we have someone that they're putting up some numbers and we see some overrides coming in, and yay, great, but we don't know where that business is coming from, and it's a consistent sort of thing where it's like, a bunch of business coming in and then chargebacks, and then a bunch of business coming in and then chargebacks.
Go from this carrier to that carrier.
Oh, yeah, wait, that's jumping around from one carrier to the next. It's not good business. Yeah, I recently got hit with some roll-up debt. I didn't even think about it, honestly. It was like $3,500 in debt. I went out and wrote business. I cleared it up. Like, I don't even have that debit balance with them right now. I can write business with them and see a full commission. So I think that's the thing. Just, you can't think about it. You just got to move forward. And I'll do what I can to try to collect on that money. But in the end, I think the best way to handle it and not have to worry too much about chargebacks and roll-up debt is kind of like what we got going now, Chris, and not just bringing on any agent to bring on that agent because they might write some business. We want people that kind of fit the mold of like what we're looking for, and people that kind of buy into what we can do to help them to have that long-term success in the business.
Yeah, it's just, it's unfortunate, and you can take the risk if you'd like to take the risk. But when you see someone that wants to come on in a broker capacity, generally speaking, there are exceptions to this rule, and I could name names and it wouldn't be a point in doing so. But generally speaking, people that just want to pick up a contract with you, they don't want leads, they don't want training, they don't want support, they don't want to hear from you, they don't want to be involved in anything. You really should ask yourself, how much of a check am I going to write when this doesn't work out? Is it going to be 3, 5, 10? How quick do I have to cut it off when it happens? Like, it just doesn't work, because in this business, if you're going to build a business, you have to kind of build it somewhere and not just all over the place. I think those kind of folks are hobbyists and they don't even realize it. And if you're going to get to the point where you go from survival to thriving, from thriving to LLC, from LLC to S Corp, from S Corp to the private equity table, from you to you and 15, you and 50, you and you in a book of business, you in a brick and mortar. There has to be progressions in business, and those aren't built just spreading yourself all over the industry and then chasing debt from one place to the next.
Yeah, we almost need to look at it too. I mean, advanced commission is essentially almost like a loan that's going to be paid back from the client making those payments every month. But I mean, are you going to loan out money to somebody that, where you don't have any idea of how that money is going to be paid back to you?
No,
I wouldn't. That's why, like I said, with what we got going, I mean, at least we know there's a good chance that that money is going to be paid back. Yeah, they're getting advanced commission. It's going to be paid back from those clients that are making those payments each month, but we're teaching people how to do stuff the right way. We're showing them how to set drafts properly. We're showing them, well, and then they, like I said, and they have the leads, which, like I said, makes me feel a lot more comfortable when I know where that business is coming from.
absolutely. Any closing thoughts on your week, or what someone can do to make sure they close their week in a successful manner?
Well, again, ending the week strong, figure out ways to make some sales, find some sales, whether that is, I know you talked earlier in the week, Chris, about kind of going back to existing policyholders. This time of year, yeah, it's a great time to do that. I think, Medicare season, even election season, there's a lot on people's minds. It's not a bad idea, really, to maybe go back to people that you've already done business with that are willing to sit down with you. They've already let you in the house one time. you always got to go back to your clients. If you don't go back to them, someone else is going to, and that can lead to
So true.
replacements and everything else. So yeah, if you want to end the week strong, just find some sales. And like I said, go to policyholders, go through your book, go through and see if there's anybody that maybe you feel like you could have wrote that maybe you're better now, and maybe you didn't write them the first time. There's still a chance that there's a need there. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
We got a question from Aaron, which is awesome to kind of wrap up today's call with, because that's the whole purpose of Dynamic Fridays, to get interactive with our core agent partners, with social media, with anybody who wants to watch. And if you are watching today, tomorrow, or 10 years from now, drop us a comment on when you watched, what you liked from it, what you want to hear us talk about, where you're at. Just drop us a comment, because that'll help show our content to others. Aaron asks, super quick question. Adam mentioned earlier about appointments he had where the brother helped with the finances. Do you ever ask ahead of time of somebody if it kind of helps them that make their financial decisions?
You know what? I mean, usually maybe if the person is like over 80 years old, maybe I'll ask, but younger people, not usually. That scenario, that guy, like I said, he already had a policy that had lapsed a while back with another agent that passed it over to me. I didn't think that I kind of walked in feeling like it was going to be a slam dunk. Like I didn't think that there would be any sort of middleman involved. So I usually don't ask if anybody helps unless they're, like I said, unless they're like 80 years old, maybe, or older. And they seem like maybe there's a good chance that their kids help them with stuff. Chris and I have talked about this. I mean, our parents never call us for financial advice, and I mean, we're in the financial business.
Yeah.
So
that should tell you plenty right there. They're in the final expense age range, a senior market. Let's just keep it that way. We're in that same age as many of these kids, and we don't get those kind of calls. So you know that that's just not a real thing a majority of the time. I like to use the rapport building phase to really kind of find that stuff out. And if I start smelling like that's an issue, I ask, like, well, do you pay your rent? Do you go get your groceries? Like, how do you manage your medical? Asking those kind of like inquisitive, tactical questions to find out. And if it sounds like that's the case, then I ask to get that person on the phone and go over the information with them and get their vote of approval. And if I can't, then I know that it's all made up. And I think one of the biggest things I've ever.
Chris.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Just was thinking. When I would write some business in Wisconsin, I would run into people, and it actually happened to me yesterday in Illinois. And it's never happened to me in Illinois, where this person told me that they have a payee that like handles their business. Is that a thing like by you, where like people have like some sort of designated like payee? It might not even be like a relative. It's just like, I don't know, someone who's like assigned to handle their business, their finances. This lady yesterday, she had like schizophrenia and she was bipolar. Like, I don't know, maybe that's a new thing in Illinois. I've never heard it before, where they have like an assigned payee.
Yeah, I've seen it in Pennsylvania. I haven't run into it yet in Maryland, but it's typically folks that I've seen, and I mean in a respectful sense, just can't manage their money. Maybe it's mental health. Maybe they're able to live independently and somebody checks in on them weekly through that same program. Maybe they have their medicines brought to them. Like maybe they can handle the base level of independent living, but the financial part of it, not happening. And the Social Security goes to the payee company. The payee pays the person's rent. They get an allowance. But realistically, the chance that it turns into quality business is like zero, like -2%. And I've tried it. I've chased it. I followed it. I tried to get a call with the rep pay. I've tried all of the things, especially when I had 5 days in the field and time. It just doesn't work. In those situations, I would pivot to Medicare, but I would be surprised. They probably are on some kind of all-inclusive life program that covers their healthcare for them as well. And they're just generally not a fit for what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, that was the one thing, I mean, I was thinking about yesterday when I was talking to this lady. Yeah, she needed the insurance. She did, but I mean, with this payee, kind of like a middleman. I mean, I don't even think this lady had a bank account. Her Social Security just went straight to this payee. The payee kind of managed everything. So, I mean, I don't think the payee I don't know if there's a set established bank account like for each person or what. I mean, this person's not going to want a life insurance payment coming out of their own bank account for this person. So,
No, it's
like I
usually a
said, yeah,
corporation.
it seems like a pretty complicated sort of situation that, like you said, sometimes you win some, you lose some. It's probably one that unfortunately the person needs it, but the best bet's probably just to move on.
Yeah, and that Tom, I know you said your sister works in an environment like that. In those situations, do you ever see them getting set up with insurance? Does it ever really connect? Have you ever had that opportunity to connect with them and get them covered? I'd be curious your thoughts on that as we get close to closing up. But that raises a good point. It's important to sometimes understand some people really just don't qualify, and you're not going to get blood out of a stone. Landon was with a client yesterday. Great presentation, called me from the home, did everything right. And she just wouldn't budge off of talking to her daughter. And I said, don't hard close her. Don't try to keep beating this one up. Move on. Sometimes you're just not going to be able to get it done. And all that person is doing is keeping you from getting to the next person that you're supposed to be helping.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, sometimes you just got to move on and, well, buy leads, have plenty of
Buy more
people
of
to
them.
see. Yeah, have plenty of people to see, and you're not going to let that one that you weren't able to do anything with affect you.
Not at all.
That's just the name of the game. It's about consistency, having that steady flow of leads on a regular basis. And yeah, you win some, you lose some. You just got to keep, throwing more irons into the fire.
Yeah, Tom said it takes too much coordinating to pull it off. Don't put too much energy into the deal. Absolutely. Like this is the McDonald's. This isn't $100,000 annuity. This is how many people can I see, which will give me how many people I can close, which will get me into next week. If you're watching again, drop us a comment. If you watch at any point in time, we appreciate that. Share it out. We do this every single Friday. We won't be doing it in 2 Fridays. It'll be pre-recorded. But realistically, we're here every single Friday from 9 a.m. till 10, sometimes 10:15 on StreamYard, on Free Conference Call HD, on YouTube, on Facebook, all over the place. And of course, throughout the podcast network, audio as well. Adam, appreciate you being with us, being on and leading today. And let's go out there and make it a successful close to the week.
Sounds good. Thanks, Chris. Good luck, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you back next week. Hop on the call on Monday if you have any questions or want the information on how to hop on those calls. Either shoot me or Chris a message. We'd be happy to assist you with that. Thanks again.